If you've tried to build and grow your own SaaS product business, then you know that effortless is not the word. But there is one factor when it comes to choosing your product idea that can make long-term growth come much easier with far less effort required than the alternatives. So in this video, I'm going to walk through what this X factor is when it comes to choosing your SaaS product idea. And we're going to walk through a bunch of real-world product examples to see how they use this factor to their advantage to drive growth month after month after month. Now, you're probably tuning into this because you're like me. I'm a full stack founder, I'm a designer, I'm a developer, and I am constantly thinking about what that next product that I'm going to build and launch is going to be. So if that's you, come along and subscribe. Anyway, here's the thing about choosing product ideas. Choosing wisely really matters. Because even once you've validated your idea, and even once you've landed first customers, and even if you've made it past $1,000 in revenue, you're still going to hit against challenges that could potentially stall or even kill your ability to grow your SaaS business. Now, of course, with a lot of effort, we could overcome those challenges and make our business work. But what if we could reduce or eliminate the amount of effort required to break through those plateaus? Or what if, at the very start of our SaaS product business, what if we could even prevent a lot of these challenges from ever becoming an issue? I think that's possible, and it happens at the idea stage. Because in my experience, having built and grown and sold several products businesses and failed at a bunch of products, I found that whenever I hit upon one of these growth challenges, I often thought to myself, boy, this growth problem would be a lot easier to solve, or it might not even be a problem at all if I had chosen my product idea more wisely. And that's led me to this list of criteria that I use whenever I'm evaluating new product ideas. Because every piece of criteria on this list maps to a potential growth challenge that I might face in the future. Let me give you a few examples of what I'm talking about, and then I promise one of these factors is that X factor that could lead to effortless growth. I'll get to that. Let's take price point as our first example. How much can I charge for this product? Well, if I choose a product where the market expects a pretty low price, then I'm going to need a lot of customers in order to grow this business. So that's going to be pretty tough. If I choose a product where I could charge more, then it'll take fewer customers to grow that revenue. So that's easier. But if my price per customer is very high, then losing one customer could cause some pretty painful swings in revenue. So there's always these trade-offs. Okay, let's take another one. Competition. How many competitors are there in this market? If I choose to do a product where there are a lot of competitors, that could actually be a pretty good thing. That could mean that this is an active market with a lot of demand. Of course, heavy competition could make it more difficult to convince customers to switch away from the competitors or compete on features or on price. Now, my list of criteria for product ideas keeps going, so I'm going to cover this more in future videos. So subscribe. But here's the one that I want to focus on here, and I'm talking about the X factor when it comes to choosing a product idea. The reason is this is the one that can actually make growth effortless in ways that the other factors can't. And you know what? To reveal what this factor is, I'm going to turn to one of the all-time great infomercials of the 90s.
I'll just put it in this machine over here. I'll slide it back and set it and forget it.
You heard it. Set it and forget it. If it worked for selling rotisserie chicken ovens in the 90s, then it can work for our SaaS products today. But seriously, this set it and forget it concept when it comes to choosing your product idea is totally underrated. I think that too many of us overlook this one when it comes to choosing our product ideas. Think about it. What's the number one challenge that SaaS companies need to overcome in order to see sustained growth? Churn. That's the rate at which customers cancel their subscriptions. So in order to keep your SaaS business growing, you need to make sure that your customers are not canceling. Okay, what's the most common reason why customers cancel? They stop using your product. Okay, why would customers stop using your product? Well, maybe they don't have the problem that your product solves, and maybe they never did. But If that were the case, then you probably wouldn't be making many sales in the first place. More likely, your customers found a different solution to their problem, and they liked that one better. Okay, now what would cause a customer to buy your product and then use your product and then choose to use a different product instead? Well, there are all sorts of reasons why that could happen, of course. Maybe they find the other product's interface is easier to use. Maybe it fits their workflow better. Maybe their teammates or their clients just like it better. Maybe it just works better. Now, what if we could eliminate this risk of customers using our product and then choosing to use a different product instead? What if our customers don't even need to actively use our product in order for our product to still be worth their money? What if our customers could buy our product and then, say it with me, set it and forget it? Okay, now you might be thinking, but Brian, we're not selling rotisserie chicken ovens here. We're building apps. And this set it and forget it concept, it doesn't apply to us. Well, you'd be wrong, because our product ideas absolutely can be set it and forget it ideas, where customers don't really have a good reason to stop paying for our product. And that's what leads to long-term sustainable growth for our SaaS business. Some might even call that effortless growth. So I want to run through some real product ideas that fall into this set it and forget it category. There are the purely set it and forget it ideas where customers can install the product and they never need to touch it again, forever. I call this the holy grail of SaaS product ideas. One notch below that is what I call the set it, use it, and leave it ideas. So this is when customers sign up and they use the product, maybe off and on, but it still pays for customers to stay subscribed even during periods of low or no use. And then there are the set it and let others use it ideas. Probably most of the B2B SaaS product ideas that I come across and that I've built myself fall into this category. This is where the person who buys the product isn't actually the one who uses it day to day. Typically, their teammates use it or maybe their clients use it. So I asked on Twitter today, or X, for these set it and forget it product ideas. And I also looked at my own list of products that I set and forget and still pay for. And hey, why don't you leave a comment below and tell us your best set it and forget it product ideas? So here's what I came up with, starting with the purely set it and forget it ideas. Now, this is just a few of them, like monitoring tools. Think uptime status monitoring tools where you use the service to track whether your website or your app is currently up and running, and then you can give customers a simple page to see that status or see if there's a current incident that might be causing downtimes or outages. Status page is a popular one, and there are lots of others just like it. Then there are server monitoring tools like Sentry and Honeybadger. I use one called AppSignal. These help developers and teams monitor the uptime and track errors in their application. Now, it's true, we do need to actually touch and use these tools when they report errors to us, but we still want them running at all times, even when we're not actively using them, so that we are tracking and monitoring things. That's why I put it into this set it and forget it category. Then there are email sending tools like Postmark and SendGrid and Mailgun. Now, I'm not talking about email service providers like for sending newsletters. That's actually in the next category. I'll get to that in a minute. No, I'm talking about email infrastructure tools. So for example, in my SaaS app, ClarityFlow, we send a lot of email notifications to our users when they send and receive asynchronous messages. We use Postmark to make sure that those emails get sent and delivered. Again, from time to time, we might need to log in to check some activity, but for the most part, we just let it run and it sort of runs in the background for our app. How about integration tools? Zapier being the most popular one. There's other ones like Make and other more niche tools that are designed to integrate these many tools with these many tools, right? Usually they come with some sort of like workflow automation builder. Now, tools like Zapier, of course, require heavy usage for you to go in there and design and build out these automation workflows. But once you turn those workflows on and let them run, you don't really need to log into Zapier or these other integration tools very often in order to keep getting value, because the automations are running in the background. We've set it and we've forgotten it, but we're still paying for it. Now, I'm not personally very involved in e-commerce, but there are lots of software apps that serve e-commerce merchants that I would consider to be in this set it and forget it category. A friend of mine, Dave, runs a SaaS app called Recapture, and that is a cart abandonment tool. And there are many others like it. So e-commerce merchants would plug this tool into their shopping cart, and it tracks when customers have added a product to their cart, but they did not complete their checkout. So the cart abandonment tool will automatically send them an email to try to get them to complete their purchase. Again, a bit of setup up front, but once you plug it in and it runs, it helps you recover more and more revenue for your business, making it valuable to set it and forget it. One of my favorites is dunning tools. These are tools that send your customers emails when their credit card declines. So a friend of mine, Richard, made a tool called Stunning, and I was a paying user of this tool for years. I want to say 8, 9, maybe 10 years going across multiple SaaS businesses that I ran. And all this tool did was it sent those failed payment emails. And I set it up once, I almost never touched it. And again, it just recovered revenue for me. Okay, now let's look at the next bucket that I call set it, use it, and leave it ideas. Again, these are tools that you sign up for and maybe use a little bit up front and then sporadically over time, but then it still pays to keep the tool active and keep your subscription running even during periods of low or no use at all. I think of hosting providers in this category. Think of web hosting providers like AWS or DigitalOcean or GoDaddy or WP Engine and so many others. You do need to actively build and launch your website on these hosting platforms. And maybe you do need to manage and maintain your site or your app, but you don't need to log into the hosting control panel very often. And you don't even need to work on your website very often. As long as you need your website to be up and online and available to the world, then you do need to continue paying for your hosting subscription. Podcast hosting like Transistor.fm or Castos are another really great example of this. So even when you're not actively recording and releasing new podcast episodes, if you still want your podcast to be available to the world to download and listen to, then you need to keep your podcast hosting subscription active. Set it, use it, and leave it. Also in this category are analytics tools. So you've got website analytics tools like Plausible and Fathom Analytics. You've got tools that can track your app's usage like Mixpanel or Amplitude, and tools that can track your financial metrics like ChartMogul or Baremetrics or Profitwell. Now you do need to log into those tools in order to see the metrics and see the insights and the reports that they can provide. But even during periods of time when you're not actively checking your charts and your numbers, you still want to keep these tools running. You still want to keep your subscription running so that you're always collecting data. Because in the future, when you do want to check those reports, you want to be able to look back on the history. And that's why those tools fall into the set it, use it a bit, and then leave it category. And now that last bucket, which I call set it, let others use it, applies to so many products, especially in the B2B SaaS category. Think about help desk tools like Help Scout or Zendesk, or project management tools like Basecamp or Asana, or sales CRM tools like Salesforce or Close. The person who buys those tools, typically the founder or the manager, isn't always the person who actively uses that tool on a day-to-day basis. Usually their team uses it, or maybe it's a tool that their customers use. Now that might break these types of tools out of the purely set it and forget it category of product ideas, but I wanted to include it because when a company has adopted a tool and their teams are using it and their customers are using it, it becomes more and more ingrained in their operation, which raises the switching cost for that company to cancel their subscription, making it much more likely for them to remain subscribed. So I hope that you can see now that when it comes to choosing your product idea for your SaaS business, that set it and forget it factor can be a game changer when it comes to long-term effortless growth. Hey, if you liked this video, why don't you hit subscribe and hit that bell icon so that you'll be notified when I drop the next one. And hit the comments below and let me hear your set it and forget it product ideas. Thanks for watching. I'll see you on the next one.